Welcome back to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm your host Rajni Bharara, and before I move ahead with the introduction and about the show, let me read out this important disclaimer. By watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. Use of information is at your own risk. All right. So, guys, like I said, welcome back to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm your host, Rajni Bharara, and I'm thrilled to be here with you all today. Last week, we hit a bump in the road with some technical difficulties, but hey, we are here now and ready to rock. So, I hope you all are as excited as I am. And we have a very special guest back with us. Yes, the former U.S. Visa Consular Officer, none other than Yvette Bansal herself. Yvette, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, Rajni. It's so great to be here. And yeah, we had a week off, but we're back now.
Lovely. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, Yvette. And to our lovely viewers, I would like to tell you that Yvette is here to answer all your burning questions about B1 and B2 visas. So get those questions ready and drop them in the comments, and let's dive deep into the world of B1 and B2 visas. But I would also like to inform you that we are not just live on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show, but we are also live on Yvette's channel, Udeti Visa. So make sure to also tune into both the platforms for an enriching discussion. Plus, we are streaming live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Udeti Visa, and also Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. So don't forget to subscribe to both of us. Yes. All right. So, Yvette, let's get started with our very first question. So, before I take a question from our viewers, I would like to, I know by now everyone knows about it, but still, for the ones who are not familiar with it, would you like to explain them what B1 and B2 visa is?
A B1, B2 visa allows you to travel to the United States for either tourism or business related activities. If you're going for business, it's for B1. If you're going for tourism, it's for B2, but they're almost always 99% of the time given together. So you can either attend a conference, have a stakeholder engagement meeting on the business side, or visit California or Florida on the tourist side, all done under that visa category. You're not allowed to work on a B1, B2 visa, meaning productive work. You can have meetings, but you can't do productive work, and you can't do remote work on a B1, B2 visa either. So be cautious on how you're using that B1, B2 visa, and certainly look up all the permitted activities before you travel once you have that B1, B2 visa, just so you are well aware.
Great. Thank you so much for answering the question, Yvette. Now let's quickly move ahead. I am so sorry. I'm again lagging. I don't know. I tried to fix this issue, but I promise you, next week when we are going to do the show, I really, really promise you that this issue won't come up again. So, but I don't know. Something is wrong. I'm really sorry about it. But then let's come back to our viewers. Can you hear
Right.
me?
Maybe we
Yeah.
can ask our viewers, is anybody in IT that can give us suggestions on why
Right.
lagging happens? I don't even know.
Exactly.
Help us.
Yes, please help me if you have any suggestion for me, because I try to fix it, but then still I'm facing this issue. I don't know why it is happening, but anyways, you can just let us know what should I do to make it better. But for now, let's take we already have got so many questions. From Pete is here, then Jennifer is here, Pratik is here, Jeremy is here, and on Facebook, Amit is also here. So Justin, hi, and a big hello to all of you. I hope you all are doing fine. I hope you all are having a great Friday and excited about the weekend. So let us know where you're watching this live session from. So now I would like to take Pratik's question. So what Pratik wants to know is, I'm unmarried, MBA graduate, and currently working with 3+ years of experience in IT and no properties owned. Have traveled UAE and Singapore, going for 10 days vacation to US. How can I present my case to the VO?
So the consular officer is going to ask you, what's your purpose of travel? When you get that question, be assertive and say, I'm going for a 10-day holiday. I've traveled before to countries like UAE and Singapore. We plan on visiting Las Vegas and Texas, for example, maybe checking out the Riverwalk in San Antonio. That's very specific and is achievable in 10 days. So be very specific and choose things that are achievable in 10 days, and don't be vague about your travel plans. Furthermore, when they ask you what you currently do, you can talk about your IT experience and be proud of your IT experience and be specific about the technical nature of your IT experience. And again, don't be vague. If you, for example, do things that are more technical or things that are more customer service related, maybe lean on that technical piece just so that you show the depth of your knowledge. And you can also mention that you are an MBA graduate. These are all great details. If you have a large amount of savings, you can mention your savings. So things like that can help you show and establish ties.
All right, thank you so much for answering the question, Yvette. And Pratik, I hope this helps you and I hope you have got the answer. Let us know if you have any more follow up or if you'd like to know about anything, other than this question. So, Yvette is here to help. Meanwhile, let's take Jeremy's question. So, Jeremy has posted this on YouTube and he says, do you have a story where you almost approve an applicant? I think we get these kind of question a lot, right, Yvette? Where people ask you about an incident or an experience of yours. So, do you have a story when you almost approve an applicant? Plus, when I get interviewed, should I go for older VO who are more experienced? I heard male counselor are more likely to approve. Well, what do you have to say?
I would say, Jeremy, this would be a fair question if I had statistics for you, but my anecdotal data is not going to help anyone here. And I have not noticed a difference between male and females because that information is not provided to me as a consular officer. I don't even know my own rejection rate, although I can guess on a day to day basis what my rejection rate is. I almost approve applicants all the time. Almost every consular officer has a case where they're in front of somebody who they consider to be borderline. So the thing that you should focus on is proper preparation. As I mentioned before in my previous answers, a good itinerary and a good purpose of travel, and not being humble about your financial ties or your previous educational history, and really try to communicate the ways in which you are tied to to your country. So, for example, if you're a freelancer, instead of just saying you're a freelancer, maybe you have some well-established contacts in which you have communicated with the business and have an established contact with that business for 5 years. I'm just giving you an example. So instead of just saying I'm a freelancer, you can say I have 10 contracts with businesses for graphic design, for example. And so in that way, it's still the same profile, but you're showing that you've had ongoing commitments. And this is just like one example of many that I'll probably give in the next 50 minutes to help bolster your case. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, Jeremy, let us know if this answer helps you and if you would like to know about something else. But Yvette, why do you think people get intimidated a lot by women counselor? As you know, Jeremy himself is saying, I heard male counselor are more likely to approve. Why do you think people think that?
I have no idea. I doubt it's true. I've met some, strict female counselors, strict male counselors, and vice versa. So I don't know if there's any validity to that statement. I think there is a little bit of luck. I think about 80 or 90% of consular officers adjudicate more or less the same way. But sometimes if a consular officer is like in training or maybe new to the country or not familiar with your visa class or misunderstands something on your DS 160, the interview can go awry without,
Mhm.
that when it should not. But more or less, I think the expectations in the window should be the same.
Okay, all right. Thank you for answering that. And Jeremy, let us know where you're watching this live session from, and also if this answer helps you. I hope it does. And also, you can send us your follow up question. We are here for about an hour. So, yes, please shoot and please send more questions. And after Jeremy, let's take Justin's question. So Justin says, do you think my F1 history in 2012 still helped me after B2 refusal in 2020? I have traveled to South Korea after refusal. I just want to go to see Miami Beach again, but they refused me in 2020. Will my
That's a
okay, we have a second part. Will my history to
mhm.
US still look good in the eye of an officer? Even I have been refused B2, plus have you denied someone who have previously issued US visa? If so, why? Okay, a lot happening here, but let's take one by one.
Let's take a high level approach to this question. When you went on an F1 visa, the bar for establishing ties in your home country was low, and the bar for you to show academic aptitude was high. So you demonstrated that you would be a good student and that you had the financial means to study in the United States. When you go back for your B2 visa, I'm not sure what your F1 history looked like. Generally speaking, having traveled on an F1 and came back to your home country with no issues with your SEVIS, etc., should be a really good sign for you to get a B1, B2 visa. In this case, it did not. So I'm wondering perhaps you did not meet the threshold for showing ties for that B1, B2, because here they want to see higher level of ties, maybe asking if you are married or not, dependent questions, your education, we already know, but are you currently working? I don't know that. Maybe you're not working. So that's something that the consular officer is probably considering. Maybe for that B1, B2 visa, you did not communicate your ties well enough. A little bit of an odd case. Since I don't know everything, I can't further comment on it.
Okay, all right. So Justin, I hope Yvette's answer helps your question, and I hope it helps you, and let us know if you have any follow up. And thank you so much for posting your question, and also please let us know where you're watching this live session from. And after Justin, let's take next question. The next one is from Pete. And Pete says, my interview went well. So congratulations, firstly, Pete. But the CEO, Consular Officer, kept asking me 5 times, have you traveled outside India? I said to her, I've traveled to Pakistan, but she didn't feel satisfied enough. Do you think this is a problem?
That's odd that she would ask you that multiple times. I wonder if she really wanted to approve you, but wanted you to have some sort of travel history and thought that if she asked you a couple of times, you can somehow convince her. Sometimes consular officers will give you a chance to give you an opportunity to have some additional information. In the future, if people are watching and they get this question, have you traveled outside of India? And you've only been to Pakistan, instead of being like, I've only been to Pakistan, you can say, I've been to Pakistan. I also traveled extensively within India. As you know, it's a very rich country with many amazing cities. I've been to Chennai, I've been to Mumbai, I've been to Hyderabad multiple times. So instead of just kind of shrinking back and saying no, make the most of the question. That goes for any question. Try to make the most of the question.
But Eva, do you think if a counselor officer is asking a question, is repeating a question too many times, then do you think it is a problem for the applicant?
That's quite odd. So I wonder also if maybe it could be that she's seeing something on her end which may have suggested that he has traveled somewhere. Maybe it's somebody that is not him,
Mhm.
or some information that she may have. This is quite unusual.
Mhm.
So maybe she's just seeing something that is prompting her to ask him, are you sure, because she has some information about maybe somebody similar traveling to a certain country. But I'm just guessing. This is unusual.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for answering the question, Yvette. Let's quickly move to Pete. I hope this helps you. Let us know if you have any more question. And also, I'm continuously repeating this, but please let us know where you're watching this live session from, so that we know that you have tuned in from this particular country or this particular city or state. So please let us know. And after Pete, let's take next question. So next question is the that we would like to take is of Gaffer. Okay, Gaffer is here. Filipino here. I have been to Singapore 3 times this past 12 months and stay there for only 1 or 2 days, 1 to 2 days, usually for business meeting and conferences. Will this affect my B2? Will this look good or bad?
Generally speaking, this is going to be looking good because you've traveled to a country like Singapore. It's a well developed and expensive country. It shows that your employer has sponsored you to go to that for business meetings. It shows that, maybe funds are not as much of an issue, and also that you have a decent enough job, generally speaking. So I would say positive.
Okay. All right. I think we have one more question from Gaffer, right? Oh no. I think he posted on both on immigration and jobs talk show and also on Udeti visa. So that's why I thought maybe he has two questions. But then let's take RRI. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but let's call it RRI. So this person says, how do I know if the consular officer case notes are not severe, or will the counselor officer tell you if your case notes are bad enough? Because I'm afraid counselor officer might put something bad in my case notes. What do you have to say, Yvette?
So they will not tell you what they're writing in their case notes. Generally, officer case notes are statements of fact and somewhat, yes, observation. Um, so it's hard to tell how severe those case notes are. Sometimes, most of the time, they're pretty neutral. But if the consular officer thinks you're not being truthful at the window, they can also say something like doubts about travel intentions, applicant does not appear to be telling me the truth, something like that. I would consider as pretty severe. You can never know exactly what the consular officer is writing. Usually, they're neutral. Applicant wants to go to California, single male, unclear, weak ties, 214B, something like that could be a very neutral thing for a consular officer to write versus, I do not think that this person is telling me the truth. That would be on the severe side. You won't know.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, so but I'm sure. I mean, if they're writing notes about you, I mean, I don't think people should really worry about it. I mean, about what the consular officer is writing and what kind of notes, is he writing about the person or about the interview. What do you have to
You'll
say?
never you'll never know, so there's no sense in worrying about it. You won't know.
Right.
All you can do is hope, like once you get refused, the consular officer just says something like, ties in the in their home country are unclear, some concerns about finances, and so when you go back to apply again, either your circumstances are different or you can show them better finances, and so those neutral notes will be fine. And so I think that if you're not lying to the consular officer, that's the best way not to have severe notes against you and just maintain. So yes, I agree with you. I don't think there's any reason for any of us to speculate or worry because it's just you won't never know.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for answering the question, Yvette. Let's take, actually, Jeremy's here. I think we didn't take his second part. So he's continuously posting his question and again. I think he badly wants us to take this question of his. So I would like to know from you, if you can please answer this. He says, have you almost approved someone and then you changed your mind quickly when you realize something?
Yes, all the time. The consular officer, consular officers are constantly in this place. If you're a borderline candidate of gathering more information, it's just a quick interview. They ask you a series of questions, and you're almost going to approve someone, but then they say something that perhaps is not in line with anything else that they've said, or you realize that this applicant may not be as qualified as you once thought. um, the same thing could be true that you could almost not approve someone, and then all of a sudden you ask them a question and you realize, okay, this person's finances are a lot stronger than I thought they were initially, and then go from not wanting to approve them to approve them. The consular interview can be okay, yeah, a positive yes or a positive no immediately, or it could build on itself, at which point you're working towards a yes or a no. So at that last leg, the consular officer can go from a no to a yes or a yes to a no. So it's horrible, isn't
But
it?
it usually depends upon what? That they can go from no to yes or yes to no.
The series of questions. So
Okay.
maybe you look at their DS 160 and the person is going for a B1, B2, but their income is low. And you're initially thinking this person is probably not going to have any financial stability to go to the United States. And then you start talking to them, and then all of a sudden their brother's on an H1B, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you're like, but I still am not clear. And then they discuss their business in a way where I feel like their ties are strong enough. Then I went from maybe a negative perception and them being unqualified to saying, okay, the sponsorship and their brother being on an H1B makes sense to me. I think that they have some obligations in this country where maybe their income is low, but I'm convinced based
Mhm.
on how they're presenting and the preparation that they made during that interview and what they're telling me. Or it could be the opposite. Say I'm looking in the DS 160 and this person has a very high income, very good job, and I'm discussing maybe a B1 visit to the United States, and I start to realize this person has a very vague agenda. I'm not sure how long they'll stay. I'm concerned that they maybe have ulterior plans that are not in line with the B1, B2 visa. So I went from wanting to approve this person on paper, they look or the first question they seemed good, but as I go along I start to have doubts, and then it'll go to a no. So you know
Mm.
what, Jeremy, great question.
Right, that's true.
Yeah,
And okay, so it mostly, I mean, it depends upon a lot of factors, right?
it depends on a multitude of factors, correct? Yes.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much for taking that up, Yvette. Let's quickly take next question. Next question is from Katak Motors. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Kat. I think it's Katak or Kathak. Okay, so please clarify. So he says, "Hello, I got my visa approved by embassy and status reminded 45 days approved. And after 45 days, the status changed to refuse and support says your case is under administrative processing." Okay, do we have a
Hmm.
second part? I don't think so. Well, just this. Um, this is what he wants to know. I got my visa approved by embassy and status reminded 45 days approved. And after 45 days, the status changed to refuse. And support says your case is under administrative processing. So maybe he wants to know what's going to happen, right?
Right, and why that happened. I
Yeah,
mean, in
why that
general
happened.
terms, in general, if a case is approved and then it goes into administrative processing, perhaps after the interview, there are some additional checks that the consular officer does, and maybe something came up for them that made them rethink their decision. This is very rare, I would say, maybe 5% of cases would it would happen to. Um, I'm not sure what other circumstances it could be for you, since I don't know more about your case.
Okay, so maybe Katak, if you can provide more information about, yes. Okay, he says yes. So I think he's saying yes to the pronunciation. It's Katak Motors. So Katak, if you can please, tell us more about your case and give us more details so that even Yvette can here help you with those specific details. Meanwhile, let's take another question. So the next question that we have is from Sadi. And Sadi says, is it true that the visa refusal can have a large impact on the future application, especially after the refusal, the officer will use prior decision to guide their question and direction of the interview?
In general, a prior refusal does have an impact on a future application. However, it really depends on when the future application is, how you communicate with the consular officer the second time around, the type of visa you were refused for the first time, and the type of visa you're going for the second time. But generally, yes, a prior refusal is not great in general. So, and think of generally speaking, the consular officer is going to use the previous decision, especially if the circumstances has not changed, to guide them because adjudicators want to be consistent in their decision making. This is not supposed to be a game, right? Where somebody refuses you and then you pay $185 and then you get approved. It's supposed to be fairly consistent, and consular officers really do want to uphold the previous decision of another consular officer unless the circumstances have changed, or your communication with the consular officer about something that you may not have communicated with before is now communicated at the new interview.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for answering the question, Yvette. And Sadi, let us know if you have got your answer, and also let us know if you have any more question. So please comment, post them. And I would also like to tell our wonderful viewers that if you have been enjoying today's insightful discussion with Yvette, and you find yourself in need of personalized guidance regarding your B1, B2 visa concern, then we have an exciting announcement for you. Yvette is offering one-on-one consultation sessions to address your specific visa-related queries and provide tailored advice just for you. Plus, here's the cherry on top. When you book your consultation, use the promo code IT, I as in ice cream, T as in tiger, IT people to enjoy a fantastic 15% discount. So if you have been wrestling with questions about your B1, B2 visa application, or if you simply want expert guidance to navigate the intricacies of the visa process, now is your chance to benefit from Yvette's wealth of knowledge and experience. So don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. And also, if you want to directly get in touch with Yvette, so you can give her a call at +1 630 303 6165. I would like to repeat the number: +1 630 303 6165. Her email is Y as in yellow, B as in blue, YB at udetivisa.com. Her website is udetivisa.com. And if you are looking for a project placement and visa sponsorship, you can reach out to me on my number, which is +1 732 707 9151. And my email ID is Rajni at higheritpeople.com. And also our website is www.higheritpeople.com. Remember, we sponsor H1B visas and other work visas based on job availability and regulations. All right, so let's go for a short break, everyone. We are really enjoying this Ask Me Anything session. Your questions are amazing, Yvette's answers are amazing. But right now, let's go for a short break and come back quickly, and we'll take up more questions. But you guys stay tuned with Immigration and Jobs Talk Show.
Consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for U.S. citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H-1B, E-3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us on the number 732-707-9151 or mail us at Rajni at higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Rajni Bharara, and you're watching Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. And today I have with me Yvette Bansal, a former U.S. visa consular officer, and she's here answering your B1, B2 visa related questions. So, Yvette, let's get back to our viewers' question, shall we? All right. So, Grace is here, and she wants to know can someone attend interview on the same day an annual business meeting is to start in the USA?
I would say that you need to really have a legitimate reason for traveling to the United States. And if your reason of travel has already passed, then you need to be very convincing as to why you are now going to the United States. Your reason of travel can no longer be the annual business meeting. So
Mm.
you can't just say, I want this B1, B2 visa.
Mhm.
It almost doesn't really make sense though, right? Because it's a 10-year visa. So you can say, I had this appointment, um, And I'm hoping to go next year, but that's just really not how it works, even though it's a 10-year visa. The consular officer really determines that approval on your purpose of travel during the time of the interview. So you need a solid purpose of travel at that time.
Okay, all right. So
Does that make
Grace, I
sense,
hope.
Rajni?
Yes, it does, definitely. So, Grace, I hope it also makes sense to you. And thank you so much for your question. And I hope the answer helps you. And let us know if you have a follow up or anything else that you would like to know from Yvette. Next, let's take another question. So, next question is from Vaishnavi. She has posted it on YouTube and she says, I am on H-1B visa living in New York City. Can my boyfriend come and visit and live with me for 3 months on a B1 B2 visa? How to answer this at immigration and to the VO, visa officer? He has enough funds to cover the stay. What do you have to say, Yvette?
Your boyfriend technically can certainly come and visit you and stay 3 months on a B1, B2 visa. However, depending on what he's doing in his home country, the question is going to be how is he able to get 3 months off? Okay. So for example, if your boyfriend works for an IT company and the consular officer suspects that he might be remote working or doing something that he is not allowed to do on the B1 B2 visa, that's different than maybe if your boyfriend just finished a master's program. It's May, he wants to visit for June, July, and August, and he is, job hunting online and is hoping to get a job starting the following the following fall. I, I mean, in the second scenario, if he has enough funds, his master's program is good, he can establish ties in his home country, that would be good. In the second scenario, if his ties are not great, maybe his degree is okay, he does not have enough funds, then again, you're going to run into the problem of like he does not have a job. So the answer is it depends. Yes, it is allowed, but there's going to be a lot of follow up questions. And I just told you some of the questions and concerns the consular officer may have at the visa window. So I hope that answers your question and is helpful.
What's the best thing that they should do? What would you suggest, Yvette?
I mean, you can't lie to the consular officer. Well, the best thing could be that it's not such a long stay. Just so if
Mm,
he's working and he's planning on doing remote work, for example, then then go for a 2 week holiday. That would make more sense. But as soon as you tell the consular officer it's 3 months and he's working, alert, what is he going to be doing there for 3 months? So,
right.
use your common sense just the way that the consular officer uses their common sense. Um, and yeah, so
Great. Thank you so much for the answer, Yvette. Vaishnavi, I hope that helps. And Yvette has given a pretty clear answer. And I hope, you use her answer while you're preparing for, while you both are preparing for applying the B1, B2 visa. And thank you so much. Let us know if you have another follow up that you would like to know. Um, all right, so let's move on to Grace's follow up. So Grace is back with a follow up, and Grace says, if your visa is approved, can you get back your passport that same day in order for you to travel?
if the business meeting is that same day, you're not going to make it, right? So if it's like the very next day or the day after, you can technically ask the consular officer, can I get back my passport, as I I have this business meeting. The likelihood is the consular officer is going to say, no, I'm sorry. But they do have the power to give it back to you the same day.
Yeah.
But that's generally reserved for emergencies only. So I don't think that is in the cards for most people.
Okay. All right. As simple as that. Grace, thank you so much for your follow up. I hope you're enjoying this insightful session on B1 and B2 visa. Let us know if you have another follow up. Khalid is here, and Khalid says, I just had an appointment today and they rejected my visa. I said family vacation and asked if my father has visa. Told them as it is that they have also applied. I am a resident doctor. Plus, the officer had a look when I said I'm unmarried. I'm 26. Okay. The VO didn't even look at one document. Should I reapply with family, ma'am?
I would suggest if you do reapply, reapply with your family so that the consular officer can see the bigger picture. It's might have been strange for the consular officer to see you by yourself without your family, but you're saying that you're going on a family vacation and at the same time your family doesn't have a visa. See, you don't want to do anything during the consular interview to make the consular wonder, why does this not make sense to me? If you're
Mm,
going with your family, the safest thing is to apply as a family. I hope that answers your question. I
right,
also think
absolutely.
as a resident doctor that you have a good case and you might want to consider booking a one-on-one consultation with me just because you have a prior refusal, but I feel like as a resident doctor you have a good chance as a visa, so maybe a little bit of preparation. Otherwise, if you don't, yes, apply as a family and really be detailed and specific about exactly what you want to do in the United States.
Absolutely, you can book a direct consultation with Yvette, Khalid. All you can do, or you can directly get in touch with Yvette. Her number is here: +1 630 303 6165. You can also write to her on her email, which is yb@udettivisa.com, and her website is udettivisa.com. And to book a consultation with Yvette, you can also use this promo code which is there on the screen. You can use ITI as in ice cream, T as in tiger, IT people for 15% off. Yes, it is going to definitely help you. So get in touch with Yvette, and she's always there to solve your problem related to B1, B2, or any other visa, right, Yvette?
Most of the time.
All right, so let's now move to our next question. So, next question that we have is from, actually, we have got a lot of questions. I'm confused who to select. Okay, Amit is here from Facebook. Amit says, and if he asks for travel history, then what is the best answer for it if we have not visited any country?
Yeah, you can say I have extensively traveled within my country and name some cities that you have traveled within your own country rather than just being like, no, I haven't been anywhere.
Right, right, absolutely. Okay, um, okay, I think we just took the second part, but we missed our first part actually. So let's take his first part. Yeah, even I was thinking, did we already take Amit's question or not? But then, okay, I'm really sorry about that, Yvette. So the first part says, ma'am, we have not traveled to any other country. We have fresh passports, but we want to visit US for vacations. Is it possible to get visa on fresh passport with my wife and daughter from India, or any suggestion? And then there was the second part, which said, and if we ask for travel history, then what is the best answer for it if we have not visited any other country?
It really depends on your profile. If you have a good job, if you're making a decent income within India, then perhaps you have a shot with going in with a fresh passport. However, if you've never traveled outside of India before and you don't know anybody in the United States, it may seem odd that you're going all the way to the US just for a holiday. So you would need to be able to explain that to the consular officer. So it really depends on your profile, what you do, what your wife does, if you live in a joint family. If you've traveled extensively within India, certainly mention that instead of just saying I haven't been anywhere. There's been a lot of people who've never traveled anywhere that do get visas to go to the US, but they're also very convincing in terms of their reasoning for traveling. So if your income is lower, for example, and if you've never traveled outside of India, they might ask you for your savings or they will ask you for your savings. If that's also, not that much, then they're going to wonder why you are going all the way to US and how you're going to be able to cover the trip. So it really needs to make sense for the consular officer. I hope that's helpful.
Right, absolutely. And even, but then will the officer will also be asking about the proofs of whether he has traveled, when he mentions that he has also traveled, he has traveled into his own country, in different cities in his own country. So will the officer be also asking proofs related to that?
They won't, and it's not really going to make a huge difference, but it's better than just saying, no, I haven't been anywhere. If you can say, I've been to Goa or
Mhm.
I've been to Kerala multiple times. That's a little bit better than no travel at all because those are still pricier destinations if you're going on a holiday.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you so much, Yvette, for clarifying, and thank you so much for asking your question. Amit, let us know if this helps you. I'm sure it does. And also let us know if you have another follow up that you would like to know from Yvette. So let's quickly move to next question because we have a lot of them. Koi is here. I hope I'm taking the name right. I hope it's Koi. So Koi says, have you approved someone? Koi, okay. So says, have you approved someone whose sibling overstay their B2 visa?
I have approved people who perhaps had family members in the United States who overstayed. It depends on the person that I'm interviewing. It's definitely not a positive point, but if your sibling is in the United States, he overstayed their visa, and for example, you're coming to me. I'm just going to give a random example. You're coming to me for a B1 visa. B1 visa. You're a chartered accountant. You have good income. You're going on a business trip. You have a wife in India, you're living in a joint family with your parents. I mean, I may issue that visa based on your own circumstances. So it's not necessarily a nail in the coffin. It's not great, but it can be overcome.
Right. And I'm sure even there must be a lot of people that you must have approved and disapproved that even you can't remember, right?
Oh, yeah, I have no idea. So many people.
Right. So Choi, I hope the correct pronunciation is Choi, and he says, I'm genuinely curious with this why visa officer seems to have a big wall, like they are so angry inside. Even if they approve someone, they seem flat. There's no need to be rude or condescending about it. What do you have to say, Yvette? Why do you think visa
Well,
officers give that kind of impression to people?
because they're lied to every minute of the day,
Oh,
probably.
right.
So okay, all right. So there's a lot of reasons for this. It's a very stressful job. Okay, it's very stressful. I think I've definitely lost my cool if I'm lied to. Okay,
Okay.
so if I know this person is just lying to me and I'm kind of in a frustrating place, I might be like, "You're lying to me right now,"
Mhm.
and that's not my best self, and I apologize for that for the people that happened to. I mean, not a ton of people, but it has happened where I'm like, you, especially early on,
I
maybe
mean,
my
well, they
first.
lied, so that's why you gave that impression, right? It's not your
if,
fault. I mean, you're saying
if
sorry,
you
but
if
then,
if you love truth and fairness and you're
right.
trying to get to the heart of why they're traveling to the United States, and you're saying, and they're telling you, I don't know anyone in the United States, or and you are suspecting otherwise or something like that, you're like, you're lying to me. There's no reason for me to do that because I can simply reject them. However, maybe sometimes you just want to know the truth so that you have a chance to approve that person. So it's a wide variety of reasons for why visa officers um, can appear that like they have a wall, or they're rude, or they're condescending. It could be that they want to approve somebody but they can't because this piece of information you can't clarify it. The time pressure, especially in places like India and other visa mills, as they're referred to, is it puts a lot of pressure on the consular officer. They're trying to figure out some information from you, and there's communication challenges, like the way you communicate, the way the consular officer communicates, is presenting kind of this. You're passing each other by, like two passing ships, and you want to connect, and there's a difficulty there. So walls also, because if you're too friendly, like remember how we talked earlier about how you start off and you see this amazing DS 160 and you think you're going to approve this person, and all of a sudden you think, oh, I think he's just going to work in the United States on this visa, and you're starting off friendly, but then you have to reject that person. That's a little bit of a shock to the applicant too. So
Right,
since you
right.
don't, I think, okay, so
So
Choi,
that people
since,
don't have expectations, right? This is also
yes,
one of
I
the
think,
reasons. Yeah.
yes. So I think with the anger is probably due to lies.
Uh-huh.
However, I think the real answer to your question, we kind of got to the heart of it, is
Yeah.
that you don't know where the adjudication is going to go, so you cannot give that hope to people by
Yeah.
being too friendly. It's a harder rejection when you're happy and friendly, and then you're like, I'm really sorry. So yeah.
And officers can't be like, "Hi, Choi, how are you? I hope you had a good day." And so your interview is going to be great. They can't behave like that, right? They have to be strict.
I'm like that with my, so for my one-on-one consultations, we're super friendly now. I'm
I mean,
like, how are you? Where
consultations
you
are right, but
from?
if you're approving or right, Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly, Rajni. Exactly.
Thank you so much for taking that up, Yvette, and thank you so much for answering such an you know exciting and different kind of question, Choi. It really was interesting. Let us know if you have also another follow up. Let's quickly move to our next question. So next we have is from Baya Mukama Prosper. I don't know if I'm taking your first name right, so let me take your second name correctly. Prosper. Thank you so much for your lovely comment. Good program. Thank you so much that you're enjoying it. And let us know if you have a follow up. And Faisal Mir is here and he says, "Hi, I have ongoing immigration, but still many years to go. I need to meet my parents and surprise them in their 45th wedding anniversary. I am resident of Dubai. I am married and not taking my family." Do we have a second part to it? I think not. Um, so this is all right. We do. It's a short 10 day trip, and I don't want to weak weak my return tires.
Please ask a specific question because it's way too broad.
Right.
So, yeah, it's if the question is how to present your case,
Mhm.
um, be prepared to answer questions about your job and exactly how your parents immigrated to the United States, to communicate that you have no intention of immigrating before your petition is approved. However, since you need to meet them and they have a wedding anniversary, or you just want to meet them, you don't even really need a specific event because they're your parents. And so depending on your profile, if you have a great job and you're well established in Dubai, etc., you may be even able to take your wife and child if that is something that you want to do. It's going to be all about you communicating those ties with the consular officer. So I hope that's helpful. So just be prepared for those questions.
Great. Oh, wow. So people have also started fighting here. Yvette, they really want your attention. So Faisal says, Mr. Choi, please give chance to everyone. Don't be over dominating. Well, I'm really liking the excitement and this conversation happening here. So he says, I think you can take other questions other than giving importance to one person. Well, if I'm doing that, if you felt like I'm giving someone more importance, I'm really sorry about that, Faisal. But then is again back with this question, so I'm really sorry, but I have to take it because I'm trying to give chance to everyone. So just one more question from Chai. So he says, what do they lie about the most, and how do they get caught? Most of applicants lie and get no problem. What do you have to say, Ed? I think this is also an important question. Let's address it.
What do they lie about the most? Probably their ties in the United States. There is this myth or information out there that if you have anybody in the United States that automatically maybe your visa won't get approved. That's not necessarily true. And in fact, if you can't convince the consular officer of a legitimate reason for wanting to travel to the US, like if it does not make sense to the consular officer why you would be going, say, in the middle of Texas, you're like, oh, I'm going to go to the middle of Texas. I've never traveled before. I don't know anyone there. Well, if you're from India, you definitely probably know somebody in Dallas, like, so the
Yeah.
consular officer knows that information. The applicant doesn't want to disclose it. It may have been better for the applicant to just simply say, I have an aunt in Dallas, because then it would all make sense to the consular officer. But because they're withholding that information, it's hard to get that approval. So I hope everybody can kind of understand that dynamic.
Mhm.
So they lie about that. They can, lie about their job, or maybe they filled in some gap year with another job. So do a lot of applicants get away with lying? Yeah, probably. But I think that's why the consular officer really looks at the big picture. They observe body language. They observe how you're behaving. They look at the DS-160. They ask you questions about your job. So they try to do their best. But of course, still probably many people get away with lying.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for taking that up, Yvette. Joy. Thank you so much for your question. People are really getting upset, so I really don't want that to happen. So let's quickly move to next question. So Khalid is here again, and he says, just again, I want to know how soon can I reapply with family, ASAP, or should I wait a little? Dr. Khalid here. Okay. What do you have to say, Yvette?
I think it really it should not matter too much if you're better prepared for the next time around and you're going with your family. In your case, it probably does not matter too much. Yeah.
Hmm. All right. So I think he's back again and he says, "Thank you so much. That was a great help." Well, thank you so much for
Hey,
asking your question, Khalid.
yeah, at least we help somebody. I know this is a fast-paced thing, but I'm glad that the answers are
Yeah,
beneficial.
yeah, we are trying to take as many questions as possible because I still can see a lot of the questions here. So let's quickly move on to our next question. So the next question that I have is from, okay, see, as you can, people, you already can see your screen. See, it's a lot of question. Nora is here. Morpheus is here. Vaishnavi is here. Okay, so Nora says, my brother is gay and he got married in the US after staying there for 5 years on B2 visa. He has visited India as he's a citizen now. Now, me and my mother want to visit him. Do we stand a chance? What do you have to say, Yvette?
Okay. So he's a U.S. citizen now. Okay, so the consular officer, so yes,
Mhm.
the consular officer may ask how your brother became a citizen, and it seems that he became a citizen through marriage.
Mhm.
So the DS-160 doesn't spell out your brother's stay for 5 years. It just asks about your stay. So you may not even get the question of how he became a citizen specifically. I think you can still be honest by saying that he got married in the United States. And then the next question might be how, what is he doing in the US? So if the next question is how did he be, how did he get married, or how long did he stay in the US, et cetera, then just be honest. But generally, they're just going to ask what he's doing now. And he became a citizen through marriage. And so, yes, I do think you have a chance based on just this information that I have here.
All right. So, Nora, you, based on the information that you have given, you do stand a chance. So, congratulations on that. So, thank you so much for your question. And let us know if you have a follow up. Well, I'm not sure if you can, if we will be able to take it because I think we have just about another minute, right? But one last question before I wrap this session up, Yvette. So Eamon is here, and Eamon says, I'm planning to visit the USA for Cricket World Cup. Wow. I'm a resident of Saudi Arabia with a stable job. What are my chances of getting visa approval based on this reason? Cricket fans are also here.
Yes, I have been getting some clients trying to go to the US for cricket. So, this question, and I'm also seeing, okay, so I can't tell you your chances. I can tell you that please write down your full income in the DS-160. If you have multiple jobs, please communicate that you have multiple jobs. I know in Saudi Arabia you can only have one job at a time, but if you're making more money, definitely communicate that. If you have savings, communicate your savings. If you have been to Qatar before for the same reason to watch soccer, mention that so that you're presenting as somebody who is a soccer fan. You've always been a soccer fan. So if you're living with your parents and your parents are earning much more than you and they're established in Saudi Arabia, mention their earnings and those ties and the fact that maybe you're living with your parents. So these are some ways that you can bolster your application and make sure that you're effectively communicating your best profile to the consular officer.
Well, great. Thank you. Okay, he has another follow up. He says, I was recently denied a B2 visa. What steps should I take next? Can I reapply immediately or should I wait before applying again?
Right. So you were recently refused without changing something about your profile, without if you feel like you've given them all the information that you have given in the best possible way, then maybe now is not the best time to apply. But if you feel like based on the answer I provided to you, you could have done a better job communicating your savings or communicating your job or the fact that maybe you didn't mention your parents' ties, then you can reapply right before the World Cup and say, I really want to go to the World Cup. That's why I'm applying so quickly.
Okay, okay, all right. Thank you so much, Eamon, for your question. I hope the answer helps you. Let's quickly take one last question, Yvette. It is from Justin, and he says there is a viral tweet said, "I'm friends with a CEO, as in Consular Officer," and he said, "If you don't have rigorous travel history, then forget about getting into the U.S." Uh, what? What? Okay, what about this? Why a lot of people agreeing with that? What do you think
Okay,
about?
so
I think it says, what do you think about this, and why a lot of people agreeing with that?
I think that this is a very general statement, and it's going to cause a lot more fear than it needs to cause. Every single person's application is unique and different, and it certainly, if you've had prior travel before, that does really look good on your application. But it depends. Like, for example, in India, lots of people have never traveled outside of India, and lots of people with no prior travel go to the US. And I've approved lots of people with no prior travel. However, if, they do have some prior travel, that's great. That's a huge positive sign. Now I'm talking about specifically India, but as you can see, I almost have no expectation of their prior travel. So a lot of Indians like to travel within India. So I think that is just a very general statement. Um, but I will say, if you're young and you're thinking about applying for a US visa and you can't get an appointment for a couple years, it doesn't hurt to go on a trip or two prior to that, to
Yeah.
establish a pattern of travel and maybe demonstrate your financial stability to consular officer. So a lot of things can be faked, but your travel to Italy or London or Turkey can't really be faked because you have that passport stamp. So it's one of the only indicators that for sure the consular officer knows, okay, this is definitely legitimate. So that's why they put so much weight on it. But with that being said, even with no prior travel, you still stand a chance. So yeah, don't stress too much.
All right, don't stress too much, Justin. Thank you so much for your question. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for an amazing answer, Yvette. It was such a fun session, such a great session. We had a lot of questions from a lot of people, and people were also fighting. They were really passionate about asking questions to you. So, guys, I hope this session helped you a lot with your B1, B2 visa related questions. So, yeah, Yvette, would you like to do a part two since we got too many questions about B1, B2?
Yeah, we can, but it's going to be in 2 weeks. If you guys don't have your visa appointments by then, the first week of June, I will be back. Otherwise, I'm doing some traveling until then. So yeah, if you come back in 2 weeks, or if you actually on my channel, I basically disclose so much information about B1, B2s on a lot of my videos that I've done like a year ago, but they're still very much relevant. So I would encourage you guys to check out those videos on Udeti Visa, and I think a lot of your questions will be answered there too.
Right. And I would request you to get in touch with Yvette directly. And here are her details. You can reach out to her on her number, which is +1 630 303 6165. Her email is yb@udetivisa.com. And her website is udetivisa.com. And if you're seeking expert guidance on your B1, B2 visa journey, look no further. Our visa expert, Yvette Bansal, is offering personalized consultation sessions just for you. Whether you're facing visa application challenges or need tailored advice, Yvette is here to help. And here's the best part, you can use our promo code, which is there on the screen, IT People, when booking your consultation to unlock a fantastic 15% discount. So secure your slot with Yvette, everyone. And now, also, if you're looking for a project placement or visa sponsorship, you can reach out to me on my number, which is +1 732 707 9151. You can also write to me on my email, which is rajni@highrightypeople.com. And you can also visit our website, which is www.highrightypeople.com. And remember, we also sponsor H1B visas and other work visas based on job availability and regulations. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you so much again, Yvette, for such a great session. Like I said, it was, people are really saying thank you, thank you. And Eamon is saying thank you, Grace is, then Fazil is there thanking you. So again, a huge thank you from all of our side for an amazing session. It was
Thank you
really,
so
really
much.
fun.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
And thank you all for tuning in. And right now, I would like to say goodbye. But before I say that, I would also request you to don't forget to subscribe to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. We have webinars almost every day. And we also come up with a lot of update videos related to immigration and job opportunities. So don't forget to also watch those videos. And but right now, I would like to take your leave. This is Rajni Bharara signing off. But always, like I say, don't forget to subscribe to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Bye for now.
Consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for U.S. citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H-1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us on the number 732-707-9151 or mail us at rajni@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.